truth,
love,
and the good.
Here we go.
Welcome to the DTPHD Podcast. I'm David Tian, your host. And in case you didn't know me, I'm David Tian. For over the past 13 years, I'm helping hundreds of thousands of people in over 87 countries attain success, happiness, and fulfillment in life and love. And I'm joined by a good friend, Micha. How you doing, Micha?
I'm doing great.
We are live in person in my home here in Taiwan. And it's great to hang out in person again. We've been doing mastermind summits. So we just had a summit here in Taiwan, just finished a big lunch. So my belly's out in the video, but and getting a little bit sleepy, but you got a strong coffee with you. Yeah. Micha and I have known each other for many years. Just haven't sat down and calculated it, but
I think we're getting close to 10 now.
Yeah.
Singapore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 10 years. Cool. And we've changed a lot over those 10 years, haven't we? So originally I met Micha through the pickup coaches at Love Systems because you were connected with them and doing some work with them. And I think when they came down to Singapore, we hooked up there. And since then, you lived out in Bangkok for all this time, these 10 years.
9 years, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then I moved out there and we've had all these summits out in Bangkok. And it's been a privilege and a pleasure to see your transformation and kind of parallels my own inner journey as well. So we're going to talk about that. And Micha, why don't you give a quick intro for yourself?
All right. My name is Micha. I'm from Sweden. What's more important to bring up here? Yeah, well, I worked for Love System. I've been a dating coach. I do online marketing. I run my own company these days. I've been striving for freedom and achieving and becoming the true myself. And along the way, I've had some ups and downs. Dealt with addiction. I'm a member of a 12-step program, and I've been a part of 15 years of my life. And the last 4 or 5 years, I've been doing it really hardcore, and I really see the benefits of how it has. That's me in person.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, my little dog just came back.
Wow.
So we're going to talk about that. Recovery, and we wanted to talk about love and connection, and how a lot of guys who are striving for achievement in terms of getting women or making money or all the Scarface goals, right?
Yeah.
First you get the women, the money, then you get the women. Oh wait, first you get the power, the money, women, some order, and a lot of guys are striving for that. And what have you discovered over the past several years about the real motivations behind that and how they can get there faster?
Well, obviously, I didn't have a big problem with women growing up. I was the party guy.
Yeah.
Party a lot, lots of drugs, lots of alcohol, and women just came to me, It wasn't until I stopped drinking when I was in my mid-20s, and I had a good year and a half where I didn't meet any women at all. And I just, wow. Hello there.
It's going to be a fun video.
Yeah, and I remember that loneliness. It was like, I wanted women, but I confused it with I wanted to get laid,
Yeah.
The ability to meet women. And as long as I went down the rabbit hole of pickup, got relatively good, got hired for working for a company. Somewhere along the way, something just clicked in my mind. It's like, wow, it's just, I'm treating this as I treated drugs and alcohol,
Yeah.
It was not about meeting people. It's just about, I'm just going to hook up with one girl more,
Yeah.
Just this one girl.
And it was never enough.
Never enough. And suddenly I was just in this, almost like the rat race with women. I just, one more. And it takes a little bit here. And it's one more. And I never really saw anyone more than after sex, there's just the next one and the next one, the new excitement.
Yeah.
And it just is zero fulfillment at all.
Yeah.
The people that I've seen that gotten the best at pickup is the one with the darkest backgrounds. The motivations are, I know one guy, he was driving home from looking at a house with his fiance, and she broke it up with him.
Oh yeah.
And he got really good.
Right.
So bitter.
Oh right, of course.
So resentful towards women in general.
Sure,
and
right.
He thought that happiness lied in there,
Yeah, and then as they get more success and experience more and more, it's increasingly less fulfilling. So they get some initial pleasure from the beginning of it, And then as they go down further, the years go on, they continue this pattern. It becomes more and more desperate in their urgency of feeling that emptiness, right? That meaninglessness. And it comes on in a bigger way over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in mine, I never really, I'm raised in a pretty dysfunctional family relationship. I never really knew emotional connection.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to do it, my parents. And so no one really showed me. So it's just my idea of what it was. And I just went for the things that I got validated for from my friends growing up, you know.
Yeah.
How many beers did you drink yesterday? Did you get laid?
Yeah.
I was like, and the more beers you can drink and the more women you can sleep with, the cooler you were, man. Like some like self-worth and my value came from my friends. Like, you're the man.
Yeah,
Man,
right.
20 beers and you didn't throw up? Wow.
Yeah.
Or you got laid? Oh, it's even better.
Yeah. Oh, so my dog keeps jumping on Misha's lap here. Okay. Yeah. So it's a lot of guys are still motivated like that. They're still, and when you tell them this isn't going to be fulfilling for you, they're like, yeah, I know, but they still keep with it. And why is that? Why do you think they still keep at it? Like they have trouble understanding that what they're really after is this other thing that's deeper.
Yeah.
But they keep trying to get that feeling by doing these other activities that aren't not going to lead to that feeling.
Wow. Because it's so common with other things as well. What you really need is not this quick fix.
Yeah.
What you really need is to look into yourself.
Yeah.
And it requires a lot more work.
Yeah.
And it's not a sexy sell either. It's like, well, what you want is a lot of women and get laid, but no, what you really need is look into yourself. Why you actually want to get laid.
Yes.
What is it that you're truly lacking?
Yeah.
Well, I just woman. Like some people are just really afraid of looking into themselves. Like, why am I doing these things? Like, they don't want it.
Yeah.
They have no desire for it, you know.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit more about that? Like, what is the fear of going inside, turning inward? So just as you think about that, because that's a deep one. I've encountered that a lot now because a lot of the work I do is therapeutic. So I call what I do therapeutic coaching. It's a combination of therapy and coaching. And the first part might be coaching because they come with goals. Very goal-oriented type of customer, or client profile. So they're achievers. They want to achieve certain goals, whether it's women or whatever external achievement. And then as they get to know that, why aren't they getting that already? Why is it so hard for them? That forces them to begin that turn inward, which then leads into a therapeutic process. And I've tricked them into that so that it doesn't trigger that alarm, like, oh no, I can't go inside. And I say, hey, try this meditation. It's really nice and easy. And they get into it like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. I felt so many emotions that I wasn't expecting to feel. Like, great, now we get in that. But as they go further down that road, there's this resistance to feeling. Yeah. And there's certain emotions in particular, like sadness, pain, sorrow, like the whole category of sadness emotions. Anger is another one because those are like two sides of the same coin, sadness and anger. They don't want to feel that again because they can't deal with anger either because it just leads them out of control. That's what they're associated with it. So there is that resistance. And now I find it like, wow, why is it hard for you to put on a meditation track that will guide you to feel some sadness and then some happiness and joy down the road, but that you don't want to do this versus I'm saying, if you do this therapeutic process, it'll save you thousands of cold approaches, right? And they think it's easier. So they say it's easier for me to go out there and talk to 1,000 chicks than for me to do a 10-minute meditation. Yeah. Like, are you out of your mind? Why is that?
You know, for me at least, when I came to the conclusion that I was an addict, it's like when I could see it, because there's a long process of not paying the bills and doing all the drugs and getting collection, destroying something next week, and every Sunday you're like, I'm gonna quit. And you see the clarity for a few minutes, then like a few days later, like the clarity goes away, you know. But the moment you know that something is truly and genuinely wrong with you, if you don't choose to act and change that part or fix that part that's really wrong, then you know you're absolutely stupid.
Yes.
So if I can avoid this reality that I'm in right now with all these things I can do outside, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Even though it's gonna be a struggle every time, like I have sex with a girl, and it's like after it's like, how the fuck do I kick her out? Like, how do I get rid of her now?
Right.
Like, it's like to see the actual true reality it sucks, man. Sometimes it sucks, man. So to see that you're not what you think you want to be.
Yeah. So I discovered the 12 steps through reading about narcissism, of all things. So the research literature on narcissism, on codependency, they're very closely related. Narcissists will create codependence, or they'll attract codependence. And then the whole literature around codependency arose out of addiction research.
Yeah.
And what was super interesting was all the therapists were saying that narcissists are addicts.
Yeah.
And all of these, anyone what's neurotic? That's a pattern that you are in that you can't control.
Yeah.
And it's maladaptive. It's causing some kind of discomfort or pain or some kind of conflict in your life, but you can't stop. And here's an example of an addict. There are some obvious ones that they have their own groups, but there's also the addict for ego. Like that's actually at the root of a lot of these things, right? So they can't stop trying to get women. They can't stop trying to make more money. They can't stop trying to look good in front of their buddies.
Yeah.
Even though they know, I shouldn't be doing that now because I've learned through this podcast that I shouldn't. But I still feel like, we have friends like that. Yeah. Like we tell them, dude, this isn't going to make you happier. We tell them all. They're like, yeah, I know. And then we meet them again a week later. They're like, hey, I got this problem with this girl. Blah.
Yeah.
And it's like an addict.
Yeah.
So I've created these courses out of that, studying the 12-step process that leads them through the therapeutic process out of that. But I tell you, man, like the more I can learn about how 12 steps works and all that helps me help these other guys find what they're really looking for. So we were talking earlier about love and connection, and how that's really what these guys want. You talk more about that. Like, how did you discover that?
How I discovered it? Wow, it was not on purpose. I had a long period. Actually, got dumped by a girl.
Yeah,
that's how I ended up in Thailand. I was dating a girl
that
was completely unemotionally unavailable for her. So she thought there was absolutely nothing serious in this relationship. And obviously, I did quite like her. Obviously, I can see now there was not a good relationship to be in. But then she just thought, well, I didn't like her enough. So I thought she was just I was just hooking up with her. So she just dumped me, and I was absolutely devastated, completely. My world was just pulled away. I was so arrogant, I never thought for a chance she would ever dump me.
Yeah.
So I ended up here in Thailand. Saw a lot of women, and I realized my patterns with the women. That it's like same pattern I was doing with drugs, same patterns. The addictive behavior, just one more. This external thing is gonna make me feel better. It's just gonna get one girl, man.
Yeah.
And the hotter she was, the more validation. I saw the pattern, I broke it off, and I decided to focus on work instead. Same addictive behavior, become the workaholic. Always these things that I can never be happy with me in my moment and myself. Yeah. So it's either some achievement, something that's gonna make me feel that. Positiveness. And so I was focusing on work at the moment, and accidentally I ran into the woman I'm dating now, 9 years later.
Who's in the room?
Yes, in the room. But when I met her, I remember it's the first time in my life, well, maybe not the first time, but it was one of very few times where I enjoy spending time with a woman, even if I didn't have sex.
Wow.
Yeah, so eventually we did have sex. So obviously, but it was one of those. I did enjoy the time of spending with a woman, even if it took like 2, 3, 4 years before I could even like dare to talk about how I felt about her.
So a lot of this pursuit of validation from other guys to look cool in front of them, and pursuing sexual relations with women in a kind of neurotic way, like what do they say about players, like notches on a bedpost kind of thing, and that this isn't going to be fulfilling, but I like it. And a lot of what they're after is actually, they think if they can attain these things, then they'll have connection with people. Like the guy friends will not leave them or ditch them or abandon them because now the guys like you because you're awesome, you're the man, and they look up to you, so they'll never leave you. And the same with the women. Like you're starting these relationships. Well, we are like as pickup guys, we get into these little one night stands or whatever, 10 night stands or whatever, and it's just the beginnings of things. But as soon as it gets a little bit too vulnerable, something happens. Right? Either she pulls away or you pull away, depending on your attachment styles and all that stuff. What you're really after, though, wasn't just the sex. Like, I keep pointing this out to you guys. Like, you think that is what you're after because it sounds cool to talk about that. But if you're really a sex addict and you sucked at game, which a lot of these guys began, when they started the journey, they sucked at it. It would have been a lot easier for you to just go have hacked how to get sex on the cheap. Right. Or you just be very incentivized to make more money, get a better job, get better pay, whatever it is, and just pay for it versus developing game. What led you to the game approach? And a lot of it is the fact that they actually want a real woman, not a robot or like somebody they paid for. They want her to actually like him. And then he can do it, right? Versus paying, because then it cheapens it in that sense of she wouldn't do it with him if she weren't getting paid.
Wow.
Right, so now, okay, so he's like, I want her to actually like me for me. Oh, really? Okay, so now you actually want real human connection, but you're going about it in this other way that will ensure that you don't get it.
Yes. It's like my mind. The moment my reality is not up to the expectations, and even though I know, the more I expect, the more disappointed I will be. The more expectations I have, the more it doesn't line up with the reality, the more my brain will look outwards for pleasures. If it's for sex, it's for food, it's for validation, anything, you know. So that's why I always went for these things, because my brain tricked me to, I should get this and I will feel good. Whatever that is, that discomfort will go away, you know. And anything that was fearful, I would stay away from. So that's like, if a woman, in the beginning of the relationship with my girlfriend, I didn't emotionally validate her, secure her, know that she was mine and I wanted to be with her, she would start discussions almost like, why do you like me? And the pain inside, the fear of me would be, what if I tell her why I like her and she doesn't say anything back? Like the rejection would be so deep, it's like I would just try to get out of conversation, you know? And it wasn't until I brought proper step work, you know? I looked at myself, can get a little bit comfortable with actually do have flaws as a person. Before that, I was this arrogant balloon, you know, I was king of everything. I thought it was confidence, but it was mostly just arrogance. But I knew I was getting more comfortable with not being perfect. And at the same time, it's like, you know what, I'm going to take this leap. I'm going to try to give her a compliment, you know. And I did those things and it was beautiful, you know. I would do I never would have met how beautiful it would be.
Beautiful. It's crazy that like when you do open up to feeling those emotions, that's really what makes life worth living. It's
things you're most scared of. I was, at least. I don't know. I know why now. Logically, I looked at it and I've gone through it, but that moment I remember, holy shit. That wasn't that bad. It was really nice, you know.
Was there a specific moment that you can remember when it hit you? Like, you can do this and this feels like this way?
What's our whole old condominium there at Patton 1? We were something like 4 or 5 years into a relationship, actually. So I don't know why she stuck around so long. Really odd about it. But yeah, it was the moment I did it, and it's like, wow, I didn't get rejected. I got accepted for who I am. It's like a safe zone, just growth, you know. It's really wow.
A lot of emotion there.
I haven't talked about it.
Take your time.
Wow. But yeah, the big thing was like the acceptance of, I guess, the little boy that just wanted to be liked and loved by all friends and family, whatever. But at this moment, it comes from the woman you love. So,
yeah. 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 It's amazing. Yeah, it blows my mind too. I mean, I discovered it slowly. I'm pretty old now, I feel, but I didn't figure that out until almost 40. I think it was 38, 9, something like that.
Yeah.
So because of various events in my life, one of which would led me to be suicidal for about a month.
Yeah.
And that was always in the background. Nothing really changed except for me. Like nothing in the external world changed. It was all me, my views and my emotions, and it was raw as fuck. So when I met my wife now, when we first met, on the second date, we went on a vacation to Bali, and the second night we were together, something got triggered in me to these memories that would led to this inner child, and I couldn't stop crying. So I was so embarrassed. I went to the guest bathroom, just locked the door, and I was just like crying, and I couldn't come out because I was like, "Fuck, I keep crying, shit." I couldn't make it stop. Like I wasn't good at suppressing it. Oh, and it's because I was also drinking at that night, so my filters were gone. Like it's crying, and so I came out, and I was still crying because I thought she probably thought I had diarrhea or something. So I was like, "Which more embarrassing? That I have a half hour of diarrhea, or that I'm crying?" I'm just gonna come out and show her I'm crying, and then I just kept crying, and then she held me, and then like I was accepted, like I felt accepted, like I was really surprised.
I think that's the really biggest thing. For some reason, I didn't feel that. Logically, I know my parents probably loves me. I haven't asked it once,
Right?
but I never felt it.
But you didn't feel it.
I didn't feel it growing up. And I try to get it from friends, but it's not the same thing. And then in this moment when you make yourself so super vulnerable for this unrealistic fear that I built up my whole life, and then you try it and you get accepted. It's like, wow, it becomes almost like a rush. It's like, wow, that's really really nice. This is what I wanted. But I didn't know it was what I wanted until I tried.
Yeah.
Like until I made myself vulnerable. It's like, okay, I'll accept it. I'll try it. I'll take the risk of going against this fear here, and I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And
why did you give it a go then?
Why did I give it a go?
Why at that point in your life you're like, I'm going to give this a go?
For some reason, I remember I've finished most of my step work, the regular. I've gone through myself, and I've looked at who I was as a person and my character defects and what other spiritual qualities I should replace them with. And I was just a level I realized that a lot of me, I was not the person I thought I was. And I was coming, I knew, for some reason, I'm not as good as I think I am, because it was not real. It was arrogance. It was not confidence. I have this blowhard personality. And I realized that, and I started behaving a little bit different in a relationship. I wasn't the arrogant, controlling freak because I didn't know everything. And it just made me a little bit more comfortable, like finding out who I was. And then like, well, I should try these things too, And it all happened at about the same times as I was more willing to not argue to win the conversation, but solve an argument what's best for us, It all happened at approximately the same time as like, okay, I'm not always going to try to win because it's not always best. And then I was quicker to say I'm sorry when I was wrong. At the same time, I was like, well, all this stuff that I've been going against and I'm fighting against this relationship my whole life is actually quite nice. It feels really good. I'm gonna try this other thing as well.
Yeah.
I can give her a compliment, or when she actually doesn't feel validated, I'll try it, And suddenly it's like, wow, man, these things. I'm fucking a 35-year-old man. I've been doing the wrong way my whole life, and just because like my ego was protected. Like my ego was just, no, I can't do that. No. And I tried it, and I said, wow, it feels so good,
Yeah. Wow. So it was accumulating over this time of doing the step work.
Step work is really looking on. It's like, who are you? What are your problem areas of your life? And like all my problem areas in my life, they were caused 75%, 80% of them were caused by me on my behaviors, I was arrogant, rebellious, controlling. And it was just, and it's like, if I can see that, wow. Well, first of all, when you realize that, it's like, I remember it's like just a couple of days, I was like, wow, I'm not definitely who I am.
Yeah.
Just started rebuilding process and just trying these things. And I tried to date multiple women at the same time. I tried to have freeways. I tried, all these things, external things. I tried everything except this thing, It's like, tell her I like her,
Yeah.
It's like, these things, like, and it's like, the more I went for that, what I felt was real at that moment, it's like, wow.
Well,
it's just, you can't compare it,
Yeah. For me, it was an imperative because I was actually in pain. So like that suicidal period, that's what really pushed that shift. Yeah. Before that, I thought it was quite simple. Like life was very simple. I thought if I tick these boxes, like I have a great condo in this great city, I have a great party life, I have all the connections in town, get into any club, all the stuff, and I was dating these girls, and the people looked up to me, this thing, and I had this money. I should be happy. It's like, therefore, you should be happy. And I had pleasure, and for a moment, I was happy.
Yeah.
And then life continued. So it's like, you think, it's like a race, and you think you're done after you sprint that 100 meters, and you prepare 30 years to sprint that 100 meters. And then the gun goes off and boom, you hit it, and you win. You actually succeed, you get past the finish line, boom, I'm done. Yay, you celebrate, and now you find out there's another 21 kilometers, and you thought it was a 100-meter sprint. And then you're like, oh, okay, I guess I gotta keep going, because that's what life is. And you've attained, like a lot of guys die before they even do the sprint. And a lot of guys think there's a sprint ahead, I don't even want to do that. So that's like the really lazy guys, the bums, and they respond to that, hey, get off out of your basement or whatever and wipe the shield cells off your chest, that kind of motivation, just make something of yourself and that. Yeah. But we're talking about where we're in the situation where we've run the race and we have won and we still find it empty because actually the race wasn't the point.
No. I think you said it really well. You talked about we search for this pleasure, and pleasure is not happiness.
Yes. Yeah.
But when I'm not happy, my brain will look for pleasure.
Right.
And it's just so whatever it is, the basics for me are sex, drugs, and food. Like always.
Yeah.
Even I've had a period right now, and I'm 4 years clean, stayed in a relationship. I'm about to get married. I decide I'm gonna try no fap, no masturbation, and this is the first time I really realized how my brain looks for pleasure the moment it's not happy.
Right.
And I never thought to deny myself masturbation ever in my life. Why would I do that? It feels good. But as soon as there was a problem at work, as soon as something didn't happen when I thought it was going to happen, my brain would just be like, you should. And it would just seek myself. So like my brain, as soon as it's not happy, it looks for pleasure. It doesn't look for happiness.
Yeah.
It doesn't look to be in the moment, to be here, to appreciate what I have, to feel gratitude. None of that. It looks for pleasure.
Yeah.
For some, it just hardwires to pleasure.
Yeah.
Like the basic things that we think that we need.
It's really good.
Get validated.
So one way to get to the emotions of your life quicker is to deny your the usual pleasures that you go to.
Yeah.
Netflix and chill, maybe, or whatever the normal thing you use to numb yourself from dealing with what's actually happening inside.
Yeah.
And porn and masturbation is one common one. And and that's one of the reasons why in spiritual traditions all around the world all through history, fasting was a big part of, and celibacy in many monastic orders is a big part of the spiritual practice. Yeah. The denial of the desires of the flesh or whatever force you then to have the clarity to see what's happening on the inside of inside you, in your brain, inside your mind. All these thoughts swirling around, all these different parts of you in conflict. Yeah. Whereas you could just distract yourself from all of that by just numbing. eating, sex, drugs, or the pursuit of those. In the case of pickup artists, they're not even really having much sex. They're just out to try to get it all every night, right? If they're even doing that, some pickup artists can't even get past the approach anxiety, so they really shouldn't call them pickup artists. So they're wannabe pickup artists, and they just feel the approach anxiety, and they geek out online, learning all of these different things, and never actually do any of it. That's like the majority of the guys. And the whole thing is, the whole time, they're looking in the wrong place.
Yes.
So I discovered this when I was in this place of pain, so I started reading all of this clinical psychology research and got really educated on that on paper, like I learned through books and courses and things. But inside, I'm like, I don't really know the difference between all of these different emotions. And I started, I hired a method acting coach for some reason. I can't remember what started me on that, but I had an inkling that maybe if like I'm watching Leonardo DiCaprio on this movie, he's really good at depicting emotion. I wonder if he actually has the emotion while he's doing it. And then I learned as I did research that they do. They're supposed to. Yeah. And the hard part for acting is when they yell cut to stop the emotion. You don't carry it home with you, like especially if you're, acting in a love situation with a woman who's not your wife. You're supposed to, but that's one of the reasons why the emotions bleed across the movies. Anyway, so I started this method acting thing. I discovered on my second or third session, we were trying to do an emotion. I think it was like resentment or something. Like I was at the club. The scenario was like, I'm a guy at a club and somebody is hitting on the girlfriend or something. And I have to feel like, I don't know. So some kind of like subtle emotion that's not just obvious, like anger or something. And the coach was like, I did the scene. Like, no, there's something off. Do it again. No, I just couldn't do it. But I didn't know what was wrong. Like, what am I doing wrong? Because there's no mirror or anything. You're just saying, I don't feel it. It's not there. Whatever. So it's like, here, let's do something different. Stare at this wall. And now in this situation, imagine, like, just get into that emotion. What would you say if you're in that emotion? Say it again. We just, for the longest time, we're just throwing these, like, fuck you, man. Whatever. No, more. No, keep going. I'm like, okay. I'm just in it. Like, keep going. It's like, when I tap your shoulder, you're going to turn and deliver the line. It's just one sentence. So I'm like, in these months, in it, and he tapped, and I delivered the line, and my face was like totally different. Like I couldn't move certain muscles. It was like really, it's like, and then I delivered the line, I'm like, yes, that's it. Like fucking work, 20 minutes of work just to do one line. But that's because back then, and maybe even now for that particular line, I wasn't emotionally available or flexible or vulnerable. I couldn't. So some of my clients talk about it like they lived in black and white until they did this therapeutic process in our courses, and now they see in color. Yeah. For much of my life, I experienced emotions in black and white. Yeah. Like it was there was very, very simple, very basic anger, sadness, whatever. There was no in between. There's no color. Even for love and connection, I didn't know what unconditional love actually felt like back then. And I would say that even for me now, it's only been 7-8 years of being able to tap into that emotion and growing. Yeah. So like 7-8 years ago, I just felt it a little bit sometimes. And love and connection, when we talk about that to dudes, imagine telling this to your 20-year-old self. Like he wouldn't even get it. Like I wouldn't get it.
I wouldn't want to sorry. My emotional filter was really simple when I was younger. I was really happy and having fun, or I was pissed off.
Yes, right.
Because what I really was feeling, I wouldn't even dare touching. Anger was what I was feeling. It wasn't sadness and disappointment, and that's what I was really feeling. Well, like I would just covered it with anger straight off. It's like to really, really look in and why am I angry? No, that's not fucking happening. Yeah. I'm gonna be happy now. Yes. Let's look for the pleasure. Yeah, that's it. It's like
and underneath the anger. And so underneath the anger and these more aggressive emotions will always be the sort of sadness and the real tender emotions. Yeah. And those will always be connected to fear. Yeah. So like the sadness and vulnerable emotions, because of the fear, when you add the fear in there, that leads to anger as a protective mechanism.
So like a real feel of discomfort of all these things, It's like, no, I'm not touching that. Yeah. I'm just going to be
fear of going there.
And it's like the biggest, well, this is kind of a little bit off tangent, but the biggest feeling, the biggest character defects and the feeling we want to avoid with that is resentment,
Resentment.
Anger.
Okay.
any choice made on resentment is usually a really poor choice. Your decision-making process is really poor. And you would most likely do things that will not better the situation.
Yeah.
But if you always walk around with these feelings and then looking for pleasure to cover them up, your decision skills are going to get really bad.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
And you have to feel this thing. And the addict's state of mind is that for some reason life is always supposed to be perfect. And when it's not, we look for pleasure because I want to feel good.
Yeah.
Instead of accepting reality that it is a roller coaster and there is positive emotions and there's sadness in life and then there will be joy for certain things.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, I don't want that. I just want the happiness.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
then you end up feeling like shit and you end up being resentful, controlling, and
Yeah.
It's like I don't know why we are like that. But like the fear of feeling,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the psychological explanation is when we were children and initially feeling those feelings, it was in some way we perceived it as unacceptable or we weren't held. So one of the things about, we were sharing the story about our significant other, is that we found, we weren't rejected. We weren't abandoned when we opened up. We were actually accepted and loved, perhaps even more than we were before, because we opened up. Yeah. That's what we didn't get as kids. Yeah. And that's where the protective mechanism forms, right? Then it becomes, okay, as a barrier, I'm going to be angry now. Or as a barrier, I'm going to be, this other emotion, or I'm going to do this behavior now. I'm going to go eat to numb this feeling because I'm not getting supported. The space isn't being held for me here. Yeah. But now as adults, and this is a big part of therapy, is that the therapist helps you holds the space for you to feel that emotion and makes it normal for you to feel that emotion, which it is, and makes it acceptable. And then you internalize that like it's okay and maybe even good to feel these emotions. And that goes through in your 12-step groups or in a good therapy relationship. That's the kind of maturation that forms over time.
Yeah. I guess like what I thought here, in the end, what the message would be, like, why are we having this talk? And it's like, it's really why are you looking to get laid?
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why is it so important?
Yeah.
And is it just pleasurable? Or is it something that will make you genuinely joyful or content,
Yeah.
Because I've had customers as a dating coach that a good 15, 20% of them, they end up in a long-lasting relationship really fast. For some reason, they had something with approach they didn't know how to do.
Yeah, right.
There's then there's the one that goes off the deep end and gets really good and never gets out.
Yeah,
There's a few of those guys that just need a little kick to get the human connection.
There are a few who actually just needed to know some conversational tactics or something.
Yeah,
that's rare though.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
Yeah,
but it's like that's where you want to be. Like you want. There's a reason why humans stay in long-lasting relationships because it is really, really rewarding.
Yeah,
like,
right.
If not, we will all be Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, well, imagine a world. So there are a lot of dudes with this anger and bitterness, and what you said about decisions made out of resentment are always going to be bad decisions. Yeah. The same could be said of fear. Like the decisions made out of fear will always be bad decisions. Yeah. And a lot of guys on the internet now, when I bring up you have these fears, they're like, yeah, of course. Doesn't everybody? We're all afraid of this, and that's why I'm going to punch her in the face. Yeah. Like. No, we're not all afraid of it. You and your friends are because of your peer group and their crap, and that's why. Yeah. And yes, the majority of the world is immature, and they're being driven by fear. But in a good therapeutic process, and or in a loving group, or in a supportive group or a therapy relationship, you'll discover that you can remove these fears. So the therapeutic process is discovering the fear, finding out why it's there. And then actually going through a process to remove the fear, so you're not afraid of that anymore. Yeah. And once you remove the fear, life is now meaningful right now without having to do all this other stuff.
In this moment.
Right now, that's right. And you don't need to change anything about yourself. Yeah. You don't need to lose any fat. You don't need to make more money. You don't need to get more girls. Right now, in this moment, right now, you're fine. Yeah. But because of fear, you don't believe it. Yeah. And then you do all this other stuff that takes you away from where you should be, which is being good in the moment, in the present, and going deeper right now. Yeah. It's deep, man. Wow, yeah. It's amazing.
I didn't expect this at all.
Yeah. Well, I've had the pleasure, we've been doing summits for like 4 or 5 years. But over the years, as we matured in the way we do our work and it's deepened in the work we do, most of the guys who started with us as guests that I invite and just haven't been able to keep up. Like the things that we wanted to talk about, they weren't interested in. No. And they really were still after those other goals of achievement that they thought would give them the meaning that they want out of life. So it's hard. It's like trying to tell somebody 10 years ago what you would have known now in a way that you 10 years ago would have understood.
Yes. People usually ask me, is it hard to quit doing drugs? I would say, no, it's harder to come into the conclusion that I need to quit drugs.
Ooh, yeah.
When I'm in that zone of, do I need to deal with my problem or do I want to pleasure myself?
Yeah.
That's harder because certain moments I feel like I need to deal with this. I need to deal with being an addict, or then like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do some more. And then it's just up and down, and it's disappointment and then disappointment, and I go, no, I can do it, and that's horrible. And it's a little bit similar to this, like, oh, maybe I'll try this out. Maybe I'll try to feel better. I'll go to muscle. But then, like, the pleasures are so much more attractive so many times, it becomes a hard sell. But, like, if you choose to really work on yourself, the rewards are immensely. I have a daily program routine of 5 things I do every morning. And then I go to meetings multiple times a week. And then if I do these mechanical things over and over again, I feel really good. I can be present more here and now.
Well, what are the 5 things? We can end this off with some practical advice, or at least you can share those.
Well, they're recovery related. I read a text that is supposed to help me to focus on being there for others, not to think about my own selfish needs, to help others if needed, to listen for advice of other people because I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Then there's a reflection on the day. What was the feelings I was feeling? Was I feeling selfish, resentful? Was I feeling fearful?
Do you just check in like mentally, or do you write?
I have a group. I share it with friends, and if they can tell, if I've written I've been fearful 3 days in a row and I haven't done a certain process, to be like, hey man, you should really check out this. Yeah. But it's So there's 20 questions total.
Oh wow!
Every morning I go through that, and then I finish it with 20 minutes of meditation.
Cool.
Yeah. When I do these mechanical things, they might be hard, and sometimes I don't feel like doing them. When I do them, the days are all manageable. I feel good. I can be more present. I have more patience. I have empathy. I can be there for my girlfriend, my fiance. Yeah. And everything is just easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
I highly recommend a morning routine of reflection and meditation for everyone. I started meditating, it's 2013. It was 6-7 years ago now. And if I go a day without it, I'm off. Like it's just I have too many cognitive parts in me that'll just keep talking. If I don't attend to them, they'll just like.
Yeah, it is exactly that thing. And if I don't do it, I'm arrogant. I'm controlling. I have no patience. I expect shit. But the meditation is probably half of my morning routine. Right. But when I do that, suddenly I'm filled with patience and all these qualities.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
And when I have those, all the people around me that I care for feels better. And when they feel better, it kind of reflects back. It's really good.
That's right. Yeah. Reflects back.
Yeah. It's not very sexy, but it is amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty sexy. So I try mindfulness, especially mindfulness meditation for being present.
Yes.
And just being present with emotions that may be uncomfortable at first, like that prickly sensation, or like physically you might have anxiety and you feel it in your chest or whatever. It's good to just sit with that.
Yeah.
And just like, there it is. Yeah. That's step 1. And then as you get better with that, you can attend to it, which means to focus on it. There's that panicking in the chest. Let's focus on that and find out why that's there, and let's then walk you through the therapeutic process. But you can't even get that started if you can't do basic mindfulness meditation. No. And just having you be present in your body.
It's very easy.
Do it every morning. Yeah, right.
There's multiple applications out there for your phone.
Oh yeah, right.
Headspace, Calm.
It's easy to get started. Yeah.
They all have a free trial for their guided stuff. I started with that. A 5-minute meditation. I was mind blown.
Yeah.
How the mind quieted down. I was like, holy shit.
Well, yeah.
I never experienced that before.
Yeah.
So there's tons of resources free
Yeah.
to get started.
Highly recommended. All right, I guess we can end off with that. Thanks so much, Micha, for opening up and sharing. That was awesome, man.
Yeah.
And so I guess we're not plugging anything for you. If you want to learn about Micha, message me. I'm at davidtianphd.com, and let us know what you thought about the podcast episode. Yeah. And thanks again, man. Thanks for listening.
You too, man.
Good to have you here.
It's fun. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's David again. Before you go, a couple last things. First, all the show notes and links to resources can be found at davidtianphd.com/DTPHD Podcast. Or you can just go to davidtianphd.com and find it through the top navigation menu. Second, if you'd like to interact with me and other like-minded fans of this podcast personally, then join our private DTPHD Podcast Facebook group. We've got an awesome community of intelligent, wise individuals from literally all around the world. You can send a join request to the group using the link you'll find in the show notes of every podcast at davidtianphd.com/DTPHD podcast. Click the link, log into your Facebook, and then click to join. We approve join requests every day. So go to davidtianphd.com and click the link to join. See you inside our group.